Welcome back from that break. If you're just tuning in, you're watching QTV this morning. And I'm here with my co-host, Mr. Adedrami. So like I mentioned before we went for the break, we're about to continue on a discussion that we had last week about the first conviction of FGM offenders since 2015. That's right. 3 women. And we're joined by Dr. Isatou Touray, who's the former Vice President of the Gambia and currently the Executive Director of GAMCOTRAP. So this particular achievement came through GAMCOTRAP as an institution that has been, fighting against harmful traditional practices, meted on women for the longest time ever. So welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, so to start with, just take us through how this particular case is able to be achieved. How?
Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to represent GAMCOTRAP and other organizations who are fighting to end FGM in the Gambia. The case came up as a result of the strong surveillance systems that GAMCOTRAP has created many years ago, where we train community-based facilitators who are across the country and to go around to check in their monthly, in their cluster communities, if any form of sexual and gender-based violence is taking place in the region, particularly with special emphasis on FGM and early marriage. And as a result, one of the coordinators, who is Mamadou Keita, he was on his monthly monitoring. He was alerted by some of the other facilitators in the community to say that please come, there is FGM going on. And about 8 children are being slated for circumcision at Bakadaji Mandinka. And then he got the wind, then alerted the police, the child welfare officer at the Kuntaur police station. They went there and found the woman doing it red-handed. Unfortunately, 3 children were circumcised while the other 5 were rescued. So they were arrested and brought to the Kuntaur police station, where the children were brought in, and the circumciser herself, and then they took the kids to the Bansang, to the Kuntaur Health Center, where they were referred to Bansang to establish the type of circumcision done on those children, and then start a case process. This is what happened.
Yes, I mean, I was quite amazed when I heard in the report that we did, you said you have 365 of people around the country, because we know that a lot of this is sort of embedded in a lot of our sort of culture and practice. How were you able to get these people on board, and is it a mixture of men and women? Because we've heard about Mamadou Keita.
Yes. I think FGM is a cultural practice that pervades the whole community, and it is widely practiced. And to address it, you have to take a system-wide approach. You have to also build the capacity of the people, because first and foremost, I want to establish that we were not circumcised because they wanted to hurt us. There are certain reasons why it was done. And in order to make a change or to create a cultural shift, you have to educate the people. You have to sensitize them and raise their consciousness about why they should stop certain practices that have been here for many, many, many hundreds of years. And to do that, we took up what we call a multimedia modular package, where you have to look at the issue from different perspectives using the rights-based approach, from a health perspective to cultural perspective to tradition, and also on the talking about the rights of the child, and also to create that awareness. And
so Doctor, so you were talking about the need for capacity building and other, advocacy mechanisms that you're using.
Yes. We adopted a multimedia modular package. This was developed some years ago by anti-FGM activists, where we thought looking at this issue needs to take a holistic approach. And that holistic approach means looking at it from a health dimension, from the traditional point of view, from the children's rights perspective, and then the religious dimension, including using the rights-based approach as our tool of analysis, and also women's rights issues. So having done that over the years, we trained quite a number of target groups in the Gambia, knowing that GAMCOTRAP is a leading women's rights organization fighting for the rights of women and girl children, but we cannot do it alone. We need the whole of society to be involved, particularly the issues we deal with, which touches on female sexuality and matters that people believe that it has to do with religion. And as a result, we developed different groups, target groups. Even the media was involved. I remember when you were very young, you were trained, you were an intern, and all these things. And as a result, we created 365 community-based facility, it's not one time. Over a period of 10 to 15 years, every year, we will bring in, let's say, 100, we will target 100 community-based facilitators in our various regions. We take 25 from each of the regions and drawn from the different districts so that everybody is involved because everybody's mouth has to be there, everybody has to participate. We taught them the effects of FGM, what FGM is all about, the religious dimension, health aspect, tradition, and then ask them, what is your role when you go back to the community? And the beautiful thing about it is because we were looking for sustainable, a long-term sustainability. So it was the communities that identified those community-based facilitators, both men and women. We brought them together, and then they were trained. And then when they went back, the country was divided into different clusters. You know, the Gambia has about 1,881 villages, and we targeted them by villages, and each of the villages were put into clusters, and that cluster came in as a result of the grassroots telling us how their own traditional patterns are organized so that we could break the cells of circumcises. And that way, each of the community-based facilitators will have about 20 to 25 communities to monitor and report back to GAMCOTRAP. So they were given refresher courses, and every now and then, if we have the funds, we update them and upgrade their skills.
So the circumcisers themselves, we're aware that you normally have engagements with them.
Absolutely.
And then when you do, sometimes they are ones that actually opt to leave the practice.
Absolutely.
In totality. But my issue is, do you follow up on them to make sure that this is not just for the camera? And do you also have...
Well, one of the ones prosecuted
was a circumciser and decided to come back. So I just want to know how much you engage them, or do you even give them maybe packages to start a business, just to be engaged in something else, whereby they know then they will not engage into FGM?
That's the
I think that's a very, very good question. After we have done all these preparations on the ground, and then we even target the circumcisers, they have a more thorough training because these are the custodians of the practice. These are people who are being asked to do it on behalf of society, and therefore they carry a lot of power and recognition. And because of that, we need to work with them in order to convince them, and in order for them to also learn and be empowered, raise their consciousness for them to make the right choices and the right decisions. They go through a series of training, and not only one, it's a systematically organized, specially targeted program that is done at particular periods. Now we get to a point where when we reach to consensus, where they have a consensus building program, and that consensus building program, GAMCOTRAP is only there to facilitate the convergence, but they sit down to do some values clarifications. If I leave it, what am I going to do? Now some will come to tell you, even if you don't give me anything, I am ready to leave because I thought I was doing this for the sake of my religion. But now that I am empowered, I know that it has nothing to do with my religion, and I have seen examples around me where I share the same religion with people and they are not doing it. I am ready to leave, and I want to beg for forgiveness from the community. Yes. So they would do that and then come, and they decide even on the date. So what we do as GAMCOTRAP is ethical, that we understand that they did not do it for themselves. It was society that had asked them to do it because they believed it was doing honor and justice to the girl child. But now they have come to realize that this affects the sexual and reproductive health rights of the girl, it violates the rights of the child, and that it has nothing to do with your religion. So we need to agree on a package. And what we did in Mandinka Buntambulu Doko, that is, if we agree to stop you from doing this, what are we going to give you to continue? And through that, they make it out of their choices. We don't tell them we will give you this. We discuss with each one of them and prepare a plan for them. Now, some will tell me, I want to have few goats, I want to have few rams, we want to do small retail trading. Some will tell you we need a milling machine. You have some circumcisers who are so magnanimous because it is individualized. They say, look, I have not been doing this alone. I've been working with a team, and I want to make sure I help the women. So can you please get me a milling machine? Now, those milling machines that we are distributing under the support of the UNFPA UNICEF joint program is as a result of their demand and request. And that is what we have been taking to some of them. We have been creating shops for some of them. We did bakery for them. This particular woman who had actually broken the oath, out of a group of 208 circumcisers, she is the only one so far that has been caught doing the practice after the law has been put in place. So you will find that the rate of compliance is very strong and very high. And I think, like you said, how much are we monitoring them? It depends on the funds that come. What usually happens is that every project that you do, you must have a monitoring and follow-up component. That should be under a normal project. Some of the partners are now saying that you don't need to monitor. Just implement. Yes. So I found that very funny because if you understand what projects are and you have to have a component for monitoring and follow-up and then evaluation. So if you are doing the project in the communities, you are not given resources to go and monitor, and it's expensive. So that might be a lapse, and I would want to raise that issue, flag it out there, that any project that is going to be supported should have a monitoring and follow-up component, and then we need to bring them back again to train them, to retrain them, and then have a convergence. We have a network of circumcisers across the country, I must tell you. And when this case came up, they all, some of them came to the meeting I had with them. I had a consultation with them, and they all renewed their commitment and said that they are really disappointed that this woman break it. But this is a very rare case. And I think we also have to understand that in anything you do, there will be people who will not respect what you are saying. Now that the law has come, that law is not GAMCOTRAP's or UNFPA or UNICEF's or Babali. It is the law of the country, a law that is there to protect the rights of the girl child and all other children to be protected from harmful practices, and that is why the law took its due course. And I want to appreciate that from the office of the IGP and the Gambia government, because that is why the law is there.
So you also talked about the issue of religion, how these women thought religion was the reason why they wanted to continue to do this, but then later they realized. So how are you also engaging religious leaders to whom people still believe that religion is the reason why people should practice FGM, because there's that divide that exists? So how is your engagement with them?
I think, as you already know, it was one of the most topical issues when the fight was hot in the Gambia, when we had this religious divide and people associating with Islam and so on and so forth. But we were able to win the case for the simple fact that there are religious scholars who stood up to support GAMCOTRAP. And we also, as women, are well read in the Quran. We don't understand Arabic, but we read the Quran, we read the hadiths, and we know the science of hadith. And we also engage experts over the years. There were so many conferences that were held nationally and internationally. And at the village level, everywhere that GAMCOTRAP goes, we have this holistic package. We do the awareness and sensitization. For the last 20 years, we have been doing that and reaching out to religious scholars. You have had the debate when other scholars who were trying to push it, and I said, please go and look at the Quran. If it is in the Quran, any verse that has said that a woman should be circumcised, I will close GAMCOTRAP. GAMCOTRAP is not there for only FGM, it's there for women's rights, but because it was the most topical aspect and people were playing on the ignorance of the public and the women, especially who could not read the Quran, and telling them this is a religion, when in actual fact we have seen within the same religion, some women and some ethnic groups are not doing it, and we are all of the same religion. So I think the women have been highly sensitized, the public has been highly sensitized, and at the same time also, a lot of the people who are pushing the religious dimension have seen that there are clarifications that have made, and it is no longer an issue. Those that are talking are only trying to cover their ego, because people are aware. The circumcisers, if it was a religious, they would not come to consensus, and we have made 7 public declaration based on those values that we have clarified with them, based on the knowledge they have, and the chiefs, the council of elders, and opinion leaders who are well educated and well read know that it is just a tradition. FGM predates Islam and any other monotheistic religion in the world, and therefore it is wrongfully associated with it. So the religious issue is no longer a problem, because we are having, of course, pockets of resistances here and there. That's normal, just like the circumciser has done this. So it is, but we are continuing the debate. We are going to continue to dealing with sexual and gender-based violence. For example, early marriage is also associated with FGM. You also have all the other forms of violence that affect women, and we need to address a lot of them. So the religious dimension is no longer an issue, and that is why it is ending. And the young generation who are now having their own organizations, running them, will not subject their children. They will not. They will also be talking to each other and reaching out to each other and making sure it will come to pass. We only have to finish the unfinished business, and that's why Dr. Touray is back to GAMCOTRAP to help reprogram and put certain things in place to ensure that the women's rights agenda is given the right perspective.
Right. Is that it?
Yeah, I mean, just very quickly, I was involved with an organization in the UK called Forward.
Oh, yes.
Which you should be aware of. And what they did was, and this is where my question is coming about the advocacy. And so what Forward did was they engaged people like myself, men who had people that we knew had died from it. We became involved in it.
Right.
And so we had this thing called I Am My Sister's Keeper. Because, and I said this when we discussed this last week, that one of my own classmates had said to me that he would not marry a woman who was not cut. And this is somebody who's actually a PhD holder. Right. Not that that matters, but there are people who, for them, he felt it was part of his culture. And so what they did was they got men. So really what I'm getting at is that how are you reaching out to young people, particularly men, to say, this is your fight too?
I did.
Yeah.
Actually, the young people have been engaged for quite a long time. I remember I was going through the files and I saw your application letter when you came there.
And you know what? When you mentioned it, I'm like, okay, doctor has a really good memory.
And so many of you are there. And those are the women, the young girls and boys who are now leading these young organizations. And that is a great pleasure for GAMCOTRAP. And it's a great improvement and progress because, as I said, we cannot do it alone. And that was not the intention. And we have created that critical mass of young people who should raise their voices, who should be engaged and move forward. Now, male involvement has always been there because our society is a highly patriarchal society. And they call the shots to a great extent. And as a result, we came up with programs that we call male involvement in the Ending FGM. And all across the country, we have been working with UNFPA. Under the UNFPA UNICEF joint program, we have engaged a lot of men, and these men have taken lead. Even in GAMCOTRAP, most of our chairpersons were all men. In a women's rights organization where a male is being the chair, it means we recognize the role of men so that they can break the taboo of silence and also take leadership in convincing men like them and others and their voices to add to the fight. Now, there is also what we have done just now. We have done, when I came back, after all that, we have also what we call a project called Masculinity. That masculinity is coming from the African Union's Heads of States initiative to support ending violence against women in the world. And under that, when I came back, I worked with UNFPA. I did the concept paper on masculinity and then on movement building. Then we also dealt with one in cross-border initiatives and so many other programs because we are a lead in this issue. We gave it to them. And that is what is informing the work that it is currently doing in the Gambia. So you will find that men have always been there. Men have also been formidable challengers because it has to deal with female sexuality. But we have very genuine ones. You have Imam Babali. You have others who are working behind the scenes like you and so on. With Forward, Forward has been one of our partners. We've been working with them. They've supported our work. We have shared our work and together. But I want to underscore the important role that the UN system have played in the Ending FGM in the Gambia. Under the UNFPA joint program, we have done quite a lot. A lot of work has been done. And today, if we are celebrating success, it is because of that support we got from the system and the partnership that we have got from them. That is why we are able to sustain the fight to come to this end, to this level. Now, the law which came was supported by Urgent Action Fund, Africa Regional Office in Nairobi. Because funds were not forthcoming. GAMCOTRAP has not received funds for the last 15 months from our partners. We have just received one after the court case from UNICEF, and we are grateful for that. But the rest, we are still waiting for other partners to come and join us and let us continue. There is a lot to be done. It is easy to end this. And the fact that the law is now being implemented, I know people are talking about, but it's not severe. This, I said, let it start somewhere.
The 15,000.
Let us set a precedence. And then from there, everything that women have to do or policies that affect women, we have to negotiate from a very small stage and then move forward to make it stronger and stronger. And the reason why we are able to do this prosecution is because the security forces have been sensitized, because when that happened, I was lucky. I was invited by the GIZ program to train the senior police officers, and that was the area of analysis, FGM. And then I brought in the court case. Then as soon as we finished there, they asked so many critical questions. All the questions that were answered, and then we showed them how to go about it, and they came in and played their role. And today, as soon as they left that program, and also the support of your Urgent Action Fund, we were able to get this. So what is important now is after this, what next? Okay. And that's where it is important our partners should come in.
So talking about what next, it was other women, final question, other women were involved, because you said
yes.
It was altogether 10.
No, it was 8 of them.
It was 8,
yes.
And 3 then were circumcised. And so what happens to the rest of the children, the 5 others? Right. Because there needs to be some monitoring, because already the idea is there that they want to do this.
And their parents had consented.
And their parents have consented.
Absolutely.
So what happens to these children?
Immediately what happened was to rescue. The first intervention we did was we rescued the kids, all 8 of them. 3 were already circumcised, because the time that raises the fundamental issue of facilitation for the community-based facilitators, and also having a timely rescue time. When that happened, we saved the children. We brought all of them to the police station. They were taken to the hospital and so on. So even one of the children who was circumcised, the mother ran to Senegal. She ran away with the baby. So we don't know. We are concerned now to try to retrieve that mother and the baby to see what is happening. The other 5, the parents were cautioned, and I told the community-based facilitators they must strengthen their surveillance to go around the villages that are very close to them to see whether anything is happening. So we are putting an eagle eye on them, and we are trying to negotiate to find the funds to be able to monitor. Even me, I had to use my own personal funds, to use my own personal vehicle and my office to go there, to go and follow the circumcisers, to follow those, but I cannot go around everywhere because I don't have the resources. That's why, and we need to, the project has to be there that will help GAMCOTRAP to be able to move. Now, with all those resources available, I can tell you, I am just back to finish up and to round up, you understand, to move this thing forward and ensure that FGM will be a story of the past, because there was resistance and people thought even during our lifetime we will not see a change. But we thank God Almighty that this change is going. But I want to thank the partners who are already there. But it seems as if the funding for women's rights and funding for FGM, there is a problem. And we need to sort that out in order for us to give the right attention to some of the issues that are happening. It is possible, it is doable, but we need to change strategies. We need to look at the strategies and try to follow up on what is needed. And that's very key.
But thank you so much.
It's
I can remember I attended this event where the current Minister for Gender, Children, Antifa Tukinte was talking about, the first time she had to go to a gathering to talk to them about FGM, when at a time you cannot even sit here to talk about FGM-related matters. So, the narratives are changing, like I always put it.
As you said.
I'm sure your child is not going to be circumcised.
Absolutely not.
And many others. So that's something that is pleasing. So all we need is to support each other, to move forward, and to put the money in the right place, to ensure that it is done diligently and effectively and transparently, in order for us to reach out because what is my fear now is how to reach areas. Now, when places are isolated and they do not see people coming around to see them, the tendency for them to conspire and continue what they want to do, because nobody is there to look at them. It's not that we don't want to go. We want to go. I don't feel happy sitting in Banjul. I like to be in every corner of the country because women and girls are everywhere. And issues of SGBV are happening on a daily basis. The rapes, the early marriages, the FGMs, the wife batterings, and all the other concomitant crimes that are happening on women are happening on a daily basis. So we need to be there. We need to focus on helping. We need to focus on strengthening those organizations that are really committed and want to be there to ensure that we do the work. It's not only GAMCOTRAP. I'm speaking on behalf of the women's rights movement. We are a feminist organization. And when we speak for everybody. We speak for a constituency whose rights have to be really respected and recognized. This is violation of the child's rights. And they have to be allowed they have to be allowed to grow. Their bodily integrity is affected, and we need to help protect them and give them the opportunity also to grow as adults and healthy people.
Thank you so much, Dr. Isatou Touray, for joining us on the program. So we'll keep following up on the work of GAMCOTRAP, and other successes that you'll get to register as an organization.
And thank you.
Yeah, Mr. Ade, I think that is all we have time for.
I think that's all we have for. Just to say congratulations to you, your team, and all your partners in this fight.
They have done very well. All our partners have done very well. So I'm appealing to them to please come and let us work together and protect the girl child.
All right, and the media has also done its part by inviting you here.
I'm very proud of all of you.
Since
this happened, the media has given GAMCOTRAP a very great visibility, from GRTS to QTV to other TVs and everybody, and still the calls are coming in. I would urge all the other activists to come out and put their mouths into the discussions. It's an opportunity. It's not only GAMCOTRAP that is supposed to be sitting here to talk, but I think they should come out. They've also been working on it for us to do it because we are masters in it. And we hope that we will share the experience. We are here to share the skills, and we are here to work with you.
All right. All right. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Yeah, so I'm afraid that is all we have time for till we come your way tomorrow with another interesting episode. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of our program.
Thank you.